one other thing that I wanted to share with you. You know, I talked to you one time about George Norrie and the Coast to Coast program, and we eventually got around to actually sharing the new you with him, and he was really, really excited. Well, there's another talk show that precedes George, Monday through Friday on radio stations all across America, is another talk show hosted by Clyde Lewis, and he calls the name of the show Ground Zero, and he talks about all these things, like what's going on in the world, and everybody's doing this, and you got all these conspiracies and all these nasty things, chemtrails. He talks a lot about chemtrails and all these other different subjects, and and he keeps asking, well, what's going on? When are we going to find out what's going on? And I started listening to that, and I said, I've got to call in. I've been intending to call in for a long time, ever since I talked to George, and I thought this is the perfect opportunity because he's right on the subject. He said there is absolutely so much confusion out there. Nobody knows what's going on. So Sandy was sound asleep.
Yeah, he didn't wake me up this time.
Well, Sandy was sound asleep, and she was snoozing away so hard, I didn't have the heart to wake her up. So I did this one solo. And after about 5 or 6 busy calls, the phone actually rang. It was about maybe 20 minutes after 11. And, they put you on hold, and then you can listen to the talk show on your telephone. And it went through 2 commercials, and about 5 or 10 minutes. It was probably about 5 minutes to midnight. They finally came through, and Clyde says, "Hello, Robert from Wisconsin. Go ahead." And I got a chance to share the new you with him, and I said, you've been talking all this time about nobody knowing what's going on. I said, well, the real guides are here to show people what the real truth is. And they want you to know what's going on. And the way you contact them is you do the new you sing that for 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night before you go to sleep. And you ask the real guides to show you what's really going on. And I said, you will be amazed at what they will show you. And Clyde got so excited, they popped me off the line, and about a minute later, I went over and turned the radio on, because they don't want you to listen to the radio while you're on the phone because it causes too much feedback. So I flipped on the radio, and Clyde was still doing the new you, and he says, yeah, I believe that really works, because I know other chants really work. And he says, I'm going to do this. I'm definitely going to do this new you and find out what's going on. And then he came to a commercial. So I just wanted to share that with you. That was it last night.
That was last night, yeah.
It would have been going on 10 o'clock your time.
Wow, that's the nightly news. Yeah, that's terrific, young man. Yeah, you can tell all these stories on your new show on Blog Talk Radio. And also, you at times when it's appropriate, you want to give a little comparison and definition for the viewing and listening audience, and that is that, there's other, ours is singing, okay? Ours is the sound. Ours is not a word or a chant or a noise like the hue and the and the amen. You want to sometimes explain the difference, that it is not the same, and those, get a bunch of, you'll get a bunch of tap lines and reptilians, etc. And so because a lot of people, most of the world uses those other ideas, and they're not familiar with the new you. So at times you can bring that up also. But no, that was excellent. Okay, there you go. And I'm sure they have recordings of that show. So
well, I'm sure they do. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be good if you get a recording of that and get it to Kelsey, and she can add that to some things. But we will reiterate these things as we get you into your Blog Talk Radio show, and I'll remind you too, because when you're on the show, when the new show is coming, Kelsey and Val and myself and whatever will be there as your backup. So if you have any questions or anything, or want to discuss certain things, but yeah, if you ever get time and they do have questions about other things, which they will, because you be ready for what's going on, because most of the world is using the and the amen and all these things. So you want to be able to tell them the difference. And so, the idea would be, well, if you use the hue or the or whatever, and if you're into tap lining, well, you'll be tap lined by the reptilians because you're calling them in. So you give them the difference. But well, you got this through. That's excellent. You're batting 1,000, young man. The last time and this time, etc. That's terrific.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to get it out there for people.
I think we have a recording of the one from George Norrie, don't we?
I probably have from both times.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I have the first one, but I didn't copy down the second one, but I could do that too. I guess.
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah.
Well, anyway, Sandy says that it was Paul Twitchell that was instrumental in working that out last night.
Well, no, I didn't say that. I just said I saw him. How they come in and
So,
making, but he was just there.
So I don't know who opened up the phone line, but yeah, Sandy said Paul Twitchell was definitely here. When I shared it with Sandy, she immediately saw Paul Twitchell, and Sandy actually said that I should start mentioning Paul as one of the
along with Rebizar.
Along with Rebizar.
Sometimes.
So
wouldn't hurt.
But there's going to be other opportunities. I mean, anybody else that wants to listen to these talk shows and they want to call in, the more people, in our group that wants to share that information, so it's not me being the sole person out there. If we have other people calling in and said, yeah, you guys, need to do the new you and to find out what's really going on, I think it'd really help. Oh, we had a question for either Duane or Claudie that came up when you had those visitors, and that one guy refused to sit down with the demure lady.
Yeah, well, no, he refused to sit down with the one with the beads.
With the beads.
Yeah, he said, "I'm not sitting by her."
Anyway,
telepathically.
Is there anything about their culture that is different, or something that that you would like to share, Lottie or Duane? It's we're kind of curious about their culture. Do the men and women get along like humans, or do they have a completely different way of
social setup?
Yeah, social association.
I'll jump in real fast, and then Claudie will talk. I would say that, yeah, of course, it's more than obvious there's a difference, and also it's the perfume she wears.
Me? Or
the
reptilian?
Friend.
Oh, yes. Oh, gotcha.
So you didn't like the perfume
line.
Huh?
That was a Mel Brooks line.
Yeah. Well, she does like it, so.
I don't know if she wears perfume or not. I'm just guessing. Okay.
Yeah, she likes everything fancy. She just is in that venue of makeup, and I don't know if I've smelled it on her, but I know she has an interest in it because she watches me when I put it on. So,
well, it's It's created culture, isn't it? Just like here or whatever. So again, it's the
Mm-hmm.
the whining and dining of the personal self, which is understandable as we go through these things. And so, but Claudia can describe these things, and here's a new experience. So, yeah, they're, just like us, they have their differences and their attitudes because, again, these individuals have went through a lot of experience, and after a while, they realize basically everything sucks and you have to deal with it. So, just like on Earth, yes.
That thing about the digital that you said that was the reptilians or Orions are into the digital stuff. Did you know? Did you know that just as a side, um, the NIH, the National Institutes for Health, started a 10-year program of following children for 10 years to see the effect of iPads and digital media, how it affects them. And in the first 2 years, they in this group of children they're studying, they would have some kids that would only maybe spend an hour and a half a day using their electronic gadgets, and other kids would be up to 8 hours a day. You know how they just can't quit using it. Anyway, one of the interesting things that they found so far is that even with adults, they have found that it adversely affects the brain for people that are on an iPad more than like 8 hours a day. They've done brain scans and they can actually see that it's the young adults. It's causing their brain to mature at a much faster rate than they normally would. And they also found something very interesting about young kids when they give young kids like 2-year-olds. They show them how to do blocks where you have building blocks where they stack them on top of each other, and they have square blocks in the square hole and round blocks in a round hole and all that. And they get really good at it. And then they give the kids the real thing, the real blocks. They're it's like starting over. They cannot connect the dots between what they see on their iPad or computer and reality. They don't learn from it, in other words. So I thought that was very interesting.
Didn't you say it affects the cortex of the brain too?
Yeah, it's changing everything. The cortex is growing a lot different than normal. So they're starting to see the study. I mean, they're only 2 years into the program. It's like a $200 or $300 million study that they're doing. But it's
They love their tech stuff. Yeah.
But it looks like the news is bad, and they also found that people get extremely addicted. They found that even with young kids, anytime a kid plays with their video game on the iPad or computer, anytime they're given a positive feedback, like being rewarded with a bell or ding or something that is pleasing to the kid, they immediately become extremely addicted to where they don't even when the supervisors or parents ask the kid to give the iPad back, they won't. It's so addicting they don't want to give it up. So those are a couple of things that they found in the early parts of the study. By the way, on a totally different subject, Sandy was telling me that she has seen George Bush on the other side since he died. So maybe you want.
Well, that's I there's just nothing really to tell other than the fact that he's in his reptilian form on the real side, and he looks pretty bad, pretty ugly, and pretty bad. That's all. That's all. I'm not going near him.
Mr. Bob, Mr. Bob, thank you for all that information. And, you know, when the government tells us about these so-called studies that they're doing and that they just started them, okay, so that's always interesting, isn't it? But they don't tell you when they really started them, do they?
Well, and they do a whole bunch of studies. As a matter of fact, I was when I worked for that one company, we did a $750,000 website directly for NIH, and when we were nearing the end of the project, I actually I actually went to the campus on Maryland with my boss, and we went to the NIH campus. It was like a big university campus, and we met with a bunch of the principals there, and we met with a bunch of other people doing their own studies, and you're absolutely right. You know, they have these ongoing studies all the time, but there are different groups of people that do different studies along the way, and yeah, you're absolutely right. They got studies going on, and these are the public ones. Who knows what the military and everybody else is doing? But in this particular case, I think they were showing it on 60 Minutes or some program, and which was on TV, and it was clearly a new study. So, but that's true. That's a very good point, Duane. You know, and but I'm sure they've done enough studies on the hidden side where they know that, you know, if they time it just right, they'll just have everybody fully addicted and brainwashed and brain controlled in the shortest possible time period possible. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, they want you to make it, they want the public to think, and, you know, again, that it's a new study.
But it's
They've
not.
been doing probably for 100 years or whatever the tech before, you know, just, you know, supposedly the chemtrails started in the 90s, but they really didn't. There was actually even a 60-minute program in the 70s that talked about spraying, and they've done it way before that. So, yeah, what you're seeing there with the NIH and all these institutions is, you know, like Bank of America, you're just seeing the front. You're not seeing the real side. And so, again, that's the public side. And because the public likes to think they know something, so they're going to agree. It's like, oh, gee, I heard this on the TV. This is a new study, and oh, let's see what happens. And no, they've been studying you all along. They know you up and down from the day you were born, so it's been going on your whole life.
You know, you remind me that it's one of those studies. Well, just wait the 10 years, and then we'll have the final results will be in. Well, by the time the final results will be in, you'll be so mind controlled you won't care.
Well, along those lines, yes, they've got it set up for you that you know they've got other things for you to put your attention on. So yeah, it ain't gonna really matter, but because they've been doing it all along, and even if you know that, you're not going to care because you're so absorbed in the system that that's all you care about is, you know, what's next with the system.
You know, I was just reminded of another dream I had. I didn't even write it down. I told Sandy. It was a very short dream. I had this really comfortable pullover sweater. It's a very, very short dream, and it was a really nice, comfortable fitting sweater, and I decided I needed to wash it, and I washed it, and when I got it out, when I went to put it on after washing it, I couldn't even get it over my head. Either I got a big head or the sweater shrunk, one or the other.
Maybe both.
The sweater is an idea. That's how fast your awareness. That's how fast you're becoming more aware. The old stuff isn't. The old comfort stuff isn't fitting anymore.
No, it really isn't.
Right, that's what we kind of talked about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that I thought it was really interesting when you mentioned communicating with the water. That's really cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah. I'd never thought about it till I saw it, you know. Talk to the earth, talk to the breeze or the wind. the dirts, the plants, the animals, the birds. It all hears you.
Thank you, Sandy and Bob. We'll see you next time. And everyone, thank you. And any parting words or other confessions? No, go ahead.
Next time. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.